Hello, everybody. It's Monday, and we're starting a week all over again. Welcome to Moohead Radio. I'm your host, a big and furry bovine. How's everybody doing today? I think I'm doing okay. How about you? There are a few things to talk about today, and I'd like to say that they're really good things, but I can't really say that. Um, I don't understand where professional sports finds the idiots who get head coaching positions after watching Stephen Vogt single handedly lose a baseball game for his team. I don't get it. The Athletics did not want to win. They did everything they could to lose the game. They're up 3-0 in the eighth inning, and they do nothing but commit errors that bring the Guardians back to a 3-3 tie. Ninth inning comes around. They make another big error, and there's been on first and third with nobody out, and we have Gabriel Arias at the plate. And Stephen Vogt intervenes into the proceedings, a fucking dumbass, and calls on a man who has not successfully performed a sacrifice bunt in 138 major league at bats, and as far as we know, in his entire career. And he misses what would have been called a bunt attempt, but it was apparent that he did not know how to bunt. He looked like little Timmy Bartholow holding the bat out, and the ball misses by a foot. And of course, expecting some kind of contact, Bo Naylor jumps off third, gets thrown out at third. End of the whole thing. Now, let me go over this so you can all see how stupid this was. There's nobody out, men on first and third, and Gabriel Arias, the strikeout king, is at home plate. All you ever talk about, you head coaches out there, is we got to make our young guys better. Well, here's an opportunity for Gabriel Arias to drive in what would have been or should have been a game-winning run, and maybe more. They weren't going to walk him to face Stephen Kwan, who is in the on-deck circle, who is just the best contact hitter on the team, that's all. But in one fell swoop of a stroke, Stephen Vogt managed to take the bat out of Arias' hands and Kwan's hands, in essence. It's remarkable. Just an unbelievable decision that leaves me absolutely speechless. How somebody could call himself a manager and make that decision. The fact that nobody cares about the Guardians. And look, don't call them Indians. The Indians won. Okay? They had winning teams. This is the Guardians, all right. Expansion League. Expansion team. Guardians. With an expansion team manager. Real manager up and left because it was killing him. The job was killing him. The ownership was killing him. So they brought in the biggest dummy they could find that was cheap. And look what they get. There's no way that somebody who has any intelligence whatsoever. I mean, we talk about analytics and that kind of thing. How in the hell can you tell him, well, I'm afraid that Arias is going to hit into a double play? Well, that won't be a double play, you stupid fuck, because they'll throw a guy out at home plate. Right? Am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? Or am I right? What would Bruce Drennan say? I am so sick and tired of watching this bullshit, horseshit, dick-sucking, cock-sucking crap. I hate it. Yeah, something like that, but not as vulgar. That was my little spin on it. Stephen Kwan's up there saying, well, what am I supposed to do now? I loathe you, Cleveland. You know, I could have gotten out of town at least 6 times if somebody would have hired me. I love Bruce. I really do. He's a nice guy. But I know he wanted to get out of Cleveland and, he wanted to go to a bigger market, but it wasn't to be. That goddamn prison thing. I shouldn't joke about this. It's not nice. But, it's like getting sent to jail, the prison in West Virginia is, it's like having a walk-on role in Deliverance. It's like, I don't want that part. I don't want that. I'm not going to squeal. So at any rate, yeah, Kwan's like, so Kwan comes back up the next hitter and he lays down a bunt and he gets on first base. But by then the threat was over because it should have been Arias swinging away. And if he swings and misses like he always does, it's first and third and 1 out. And you have your best contact hitter at the plate. And he's the hardest guy in the team to double up because he's coming out of the left-handed side of the batter's box and he's fast. I don't know shit about baseball, folks, but I know that was the dumbest call I've ever seen in my life. So absolutely without a clue that it ruins the season for me already, 4 games in. I mean, he couldn't even take a gift and accept it. Unbelievable. So that's what I wanted to say about that. First-year manager. He shouldn't be a manager if he doesn't know that much. God, make it stop. Now we'll start in on some of these other great news stories that I know you long to hear about. Cameron Sutton turns himself in after allegations of domestic battery. Of course, you remember Cameron Sutton. He was a Steeler. You don't think that has something to do with this over-aggression problem now, do you? I'd like a history of how many Steelers and Ravens have been involved in assault. And you know what's amazing about this? Let me tell you what he's accused of, because this happened down here in Hillsborough County outside of Tampa, just literally 55 miles north of me. His initial arrest warrant charged him with a felony. But now they're saying he's being formally charged with a misdemeanor battery, which carries a maximum 1-year jail sentence. He's 29 years old. He was with the Lions as an unrestricted free agent last year. A 3-year, $33 million contract after spending his first 6 NFL seasons with the Squealers, of course. The Lions released him on March 21st, the day after the team found out about the warrant for his arrest. Yeah, beating the shit out of people. You people are complaining still about Deshaun Watson. This guy goes out and just beats somebody up. Domestic violence. Beating up a woman. Y'all like that, though, don't you? Yeah, you do. Hold on a minute. Cameron Sutton. Hi, Reverend. How you doing? The Reverend Kowalski is in the house. I want everybody to put your hands together. It's a good Monday after Good Friday. And with the good Rev in the house, eat a man. And now Amsterdam, we don't know that. They didn't release that information when I was reading about Vontae Davis. All right. I don't know what the story was, but there was no foul play involved. And Double P says the same thing, but not the. Hi there, Brian. How you doing? How you doing? Vontae is dead at 35. So I don't know. Did he kill himself? The damage that this sport does to people is just pathetic. But wait a minute, there's more. We just keep hearing more and more stories about this shit. Former NFL linebacker dies at 32. I don't know how much more, former New Orleans Saints linebacker Ronald Powell has died at age 32, the NFL Players Association said Tuesday. No cause of death was revealed. Okay, what are we supposed to believe about this? Of course, his cause of death isn't revealed because everybody's hiding the secret that this sport just kills people left and right. And then you got teams like the Steelers and the Ravens who are murderers. You don't get it. You're all up in arms about a guy who's getting hand jobs from women who gave them to him. Advertised on Instagram. And you're all bent out of shape. These people are fucking killers. They're going out and maiming, mangling, and killing other people. And they're all members of the NFL Players Association. They're killing their union brothers. Oh, for God's sakes. And we keep watching it. I know we're complaining about a dome. I don't want a dome in Cleveland. I don't want it in Brook Park. It's not convenient for me, but I love watching players die every Sunday. Yeah, right. I'll chill out. There's nothing quite like a person who's on top of the news, a reporter who can give you that up to the minute update that you're looking for, like Mary Kay Cabbagehead. Headline: Why the Browns brought back Cade York. Am I in a time machine? Is this like an old recycled story? And what about those Greg Newsome II trade rumors? She has nothing to write. Let's go back into the old file, the cold file, and see if we can start up any shit about this. This is all old news. Everyone in the room knows how talented we think Cade is. It's like, I already read this. I already saw this. Don't you love this time of year? When on the people who are actually paid to be reporters, not guys like me, formerly majorly fat people who are now relatively fat people like me, who come on and podcasts and do this just for the fun of it. These people get paid to do this shit. And this time of the year, there's just no ready-made news, Mary Kay Cabbagehead sits by her little cell phone and waits for somebody to call her and say, hey, this is the Browns publicity department. We need you to write this for us. Okay. Unbelievable. I don't care about Cade York. Cade York was a failure. Cade York will always be a failure in Cleveland. He doesn't need to come back and revisit the place of his greatest failure. Let him go someplace else. Let him find new horizons and vistas at another city. Just not in ours. He'll take one look at those goalposts in that stadium and he'll go and shank it like he did every single time. You know what Cade York needs to do? He needs to submit to therapy. And I'm being serious. I'm not being mean-spirited. he needs to look at his job differently. He can't look at himself as Godzilla, the undefeatable, unkillable. I can just beat my head against the wall 50 times and I'll come through, Cade York. He's got to change. And that's the hardest thing for people to do. And he needs therapy because he just keeps attacking this one way and he's just like banging his head against the wall. It's really unfortunate. And she's just writing this story because everyone's saying, well, what about Dustin Hopkins? We got to get rid of him. And it's like, no, I'm not going to get rid of him. I told you this a couple of weeks ago. He's your kicker, but he's not signed for the following year. That's not really hard to figure out. If you're Dustin Hopkins and you're a free agent, oh, there might be better places to go than Cleveland. Did you ever think of that? Did you ever think that maybe the organization was trying something a step ahead? No. Headline: did a bunt call squeeze Cleveland out of a win? Headline by Paul Hoynes. Hey, Hoynesy! No, Paul, we were all just fucking imagining it. They have nothing to write about at all. Did it actually cause the loss? Yes, it did. That and Eli fucking Morgan. Eli Morgan's a name like that. He should be plowing the back 40. He shouldn't be a major league pitcher. And I've said this before. Eli Morgan sucks. And why they keep bringing him back is just to discourage what few fans they have left. You can't get rid of him. He's fucking Rasputin. You can't poison him. You can't shoot him. You can't cut his throat. He'll come back again and again and again. Eli Morgan comes in and throws 4 straight balls with the bases loaded, and none of them were near the strike zone. He was warmed up and ready to go, don't you think? Enough of that. As if there wasn't joy enough in Cleveland, Donovan Mitchell's quote after the so-called game that the Cavaliers played, it can't happen. Oh, yes, it can. And Donovan, you know why it's happening. So shut the fuck up. It's because you and the other players have gone renegade on JB Bickerstaff. And I'm not going to keep a fucking secret anymore. Okay? This is not something I think anymore. This is something I know. It's not something I think. It's something I know. And, you know, if there are people like Dan Gilbert who have planted people to listen to this podcast as he has in the past because you don't like me, I'll say something else. I can prove to you that I know Dan because there's one guy who still supports him. Don't worry. I won't tell anybody. He's lost all but one of the guys on the team. That's wrong with the Cavaliers. They don't want to play for the guy. All but one player. That's the fact. And I'm sorry that it's that way, but that's the fact of the matter. Why do you think they're getting out rebounded 2-1? Because rebounding is effort. There's no effort being put out. The reason they don't want to play for JB Bickerstaff anymore, and they're not going to. Okay, here's the story, David, in a nutshell. At the time, I had a guy who every so often still shows up, known as Lenny the Cow. Lenny the Cow, at the time, was a very young man. He's a family man now, married with kids. He's a wonderful guy. Really Good guy. And he would help me out on the show and do some co-hosting. And he was young and getting his feet wet, but he wasn't trying to go into broadcasting or anything. He was just, trying to get work. And this was something he was doing as a lark for fun. So he was looking for a job. And he applied at Quicken Loans. This is a true story. And Lenny wouldn't mind me telling the story. So I told him that if he needed a reference, I'd be more than happy to give him a reference. And what he did is he filled out the application honorably, honestly, and said that he was having some fun doing some stuff on Moohead Radio. The second that they read that, they were all over him to sign a disclosure statement to no longer have anything to do with me. This is the truth. And that came from the highest place in Quicken Loans. Now, that's not coincidental, folks, because some of the things I would say about the little short bastard, sorry. Yeah, you can imagine. The kind of things I just said about Stephen Vogt. Which way do I go? Go ahead and bunt, Gabriel. Gabriel, blow my horn. 25 minutes after 5, you've got it tuned to Moohead Radio. Dan Gilbert, plant bots here. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. You look at the number of people who listen to this program. It's nothing. It's not even a speck of dust. It's nothing. But the people who are the prima donnas who own these franchises, it's unbelievable how many people within the industry, within the podcast industry, people like Les Levine, they were all listening to what I was doing. They hated me because I basically told the truth and said that it was all recycled talent as far as, announcing and commentators and sports play-by-play people. I had Michael Regai on the program several times. I felt really bad that Michael, and I understand Michael's like a radio guy. So I know the breed. I'm the breed. And good fella. And he lost his job because Dan Gilbert was friends with Fred McLeod, the late Fred McLeod. And I had nothing bad to say about Fred McLeod at all, except that Michael Regai was a better play-by-play guy. Fred McLeod was the guy who used to do the sports on TV. Not a great play-by-play man, but Gilbert knew him because of the Detroit connection, and he got the job, and Regai got shit-canned. So, I never really said anything bad about Fred McLeod because I don't know the man. I did not know the man. But strictly as an assessor of talent, Michael Regai had more on-air talent than Fred McLeod did. It's just a fact. I'm sorry. Yeah, basically that was what it all came down to. Yeah, I'm not a team player. Thank God. I mean, what's the point of doing a program like this if all you're doing is spitting out the shit that somebody's feeding you? I don't understand. But I'm not going to sit here and lie for people. I'm not going to sit here and say, the team still really respects JB. They don't. The reason the team's having this fall apart problem at the end of the season is not just injuries. And, everyone else wants to make it all about injuries because they're just going to keep spitting out. And, there are people who I don't even know, but I get their Twitter feed stuff, Mac Perry being one of them. Nice guy, Mac Perry. And he's a very positive Cavaliers fan. but he just keeps spitting out this injury propaganda. We know about the injuries, but why aren't people rebounding and trying? Why are we just lacklusterly rolling the ball in out of bounds on the inbounds passes and letting people take the ball away from us? Why is this happening? The team isn't trying anymore because they don't want to play for JB Bickerstaff. Bickerstaff should have been fired. The reason he's not fired is because the analytics guys or whoever the fuck decides what the normal course of action is. The guy should have been fired. He will be fired at the end of the season. There is no doubt in anybody's mind. But until then, the players are stuck with him, so they're not going to play. Okay? You're talking about the biggest quit team that I've ever seen in the NBA. And I've seen bad Cavalier teams that just weren't very good. This team's way too good for that. They got way too much talent on this team. He has single-handedly destroyed Darius Garland, destroyed Donovan Mitchell. He's destroyed Evan Mobley. People make no progress in this regime because it's absolutely horrible. The scheme is predicated on a scheme that his father came up with 40 years ago. Offensively, the team is a mess. I don't know Ken Carmen. I don't know about that. I know the name, and I've seen some things that he put up on Twitter, and I think he and I wouldn't get along. But if you like people, recycled, you still want to hear, get that weak stuff out of here. If you want to keep hearing that for the next 20 years of your life. I resent what you're saying, Mark. I resent it. Well, it was my business to bring in air talent to new communities. I didn't recycle the people who had already failed. Where's the new talent coming in? And the answer is we still have Andre Knott. Why? Andre Knott should spell his last name N-O-T, as in Knott. What is his field of expertise that gets him on broadcasts? I don't know. And I'm trying to listen to Brad Daugherty to see if he's making any sense, but you have to get a translator to translate 1980s basketball into 2020s basketball. He has nothing to add to any of this at all. And John Michael is a good enough guy. He does a steady, rock solid play-by-play, but he ain't Joe Tate. All right? He ain't that. He's not Fred McLeod. Yeah, this guy, Tony Gross, he shouldn't even still be mentioned. He should have been drummed out of town a long time ago. Mary Kay Cabot shouldn't have been put into a Hall of Fame. God almighty. The way people are rewarded is if they kiss up to these organizations. And you know something? Here's the biggest truth of all. They're making enough money, these owners. They can stand a little criticism. Get a thicker hide, you pussies. Jesus Christ. You're winning in the big dollar sign game. Let's bring the Moose in here. Hi, Moose.
To be honest, I forgot it was Monday and you were on.
There you go.
It's been shit that's been going on here. We're my English football team's top of the league, and we had an amazing last second win today. So and then our arch rivals were playing. Just finished the game about 10 minutes ago. So anyway,
Well,
so
that's
what's happening with you? What have you already covered so that I don't bore
for God's
anybody?
sakes, I'm not going to recap.
No, I mean like what can I not talk about that you've already talked about? The Cavs, the Guardians, the Browns.
I've spoken about both. I spoke about the Guardians and that Stephen Vogt is made the dumbest baseball manager's decision I've ever seen in my life.
Because we lost, didn't we? Yesterday.
Yeah, but if you didn't watch it, you didn't get the full effect.
No, I didn't.
Did you read about it?
I saw that we got 3 runs in like the 8th inning or something, and then it fell apart. like walked in the winning run or something.
Yeah, but you have to go back and read the story of how first and third with one man out and Gabriel Arias at the plate to get the winning run across home plate, or at least to take the lead.
Wow.
And Vogt for the dugout calls for a squeeze bunt, and Arias had never in 138 major league at bats
ever done it,
had ever successfully sacrificed a runner.
Fucking hell.
The sense of Easter and sacrifice got to these people. I have no idea.
Yeah.
But at any rate, we talked about that. We're talking about the Cavaliers now. And
oh yeah, that was a great game. I didn't see that one either.
No, well, neither did they. They didn't even attend the game. So now you got Donovan Mitchell saying it can't happen, but he knows damn well why it's happening. Yeah. And as long as JB Bickerstaff is the coach, it will continue to happen because the players have stopped trying. You know, and then the next headline says, "What's going on with Dean Wade? When was he going to return to the Cavs lineup?" Well, he was away on
still alive.
Yeah. Wade. He had a child. All right, not
child.
He personally.
Well, that's a miracle. It's an Easter miracle. He had a child.
Yeah, and so he took time off. But now all of a sudden they're saying, "Oh, he has a knee ache," and then all of a sudden they're saying, "Well, you know, it's not just a knee ache; he's got a knee condition." And on and on.
He's actually dead, right?
Oh, he was probably jumping for joy at fatherhood, and he twisted his knee. There's something that we're not hearing. And, you know, truthfully, it doesn't matter. Dean Wade, you know, it doesn't matter if you had James Dean come back from the dead. It doesn't matter if you had Dwayne Wade come back and play a second time for the Cavaliers.
Wade Boggs.
He's right. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't fucking matter. Everybody's dead. We're all going to die, and we're not going to make the playoffs.
so I mean, you think that Dean Wade is going to get the players to start liking JB Bickerstaff? I don't think that's the case.
No,
that's exactly right, Topaz. Right again. Here's David Talevsky, who's moved to buzz in. What's up, David?
Wow. Nothing much. How's it going, though?
You're hearing from my mouth how it's going.
I can believe that.
And it goes like the river flows. Yep. What
is that? Oh, is that from Sound of Music or?
No, that's the musical theme for Norma Ray the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but there's plenty of other songs. Burn on Big River. Randy Newman. Yeah.
That's a tribute to the Cuyahoga or the
Cuyahoga Falls. It's like thank you, Chrissy. Chrissy behind it. Cuyahoga. What?
If you're gonna do Randy Newman, you should probably sound like Randy Newman.
Hey, I could do Randy Newman because I'm short.
No, you have to actually not be able to sing.
I can do that too. Wow.
Yeah.
So what's Tony Grossi's name popping up in the chat room for? What did I miss?
We're just talking about recycled. I'm not going to use the word talent because that's
that'd be overestimating
that
his
bird
ability.
Flew a long time ago. People who just have settled in Cleveland and they just keep rotating from job to job to job, And if they sit around long enough, somebody will call them because there's no fresh
Nobody
talent.
else. Because
right?
nobody wants to do that.
He's worthless. You know, I purposely think he goes on Twitter and searches his name up on purpose just to see if anyone's talking about him so he can block them. I firmly believe that's what he does.
Oh, well, he's an agitator, and it's so easy. I like to be an agitator live on the air. I like to tell the world that JB Bickerstaff's players have all turned on him. And I want to see Dan Gilbert cringing in his office. Like, how did he find out? And it's like,
I don't know. We'll know.
Yeah.
The Huckleberry Hound voice.
Yeah, figure it out. Figure it out, Dan. You got a problem. You got a big fucking problem. Solve the problem. The season's not over. You're ending the season by keeping him. And JB comes in after the game saying, well, the Nuggets, they're solid all around. Really, really good players who've bought into the system, and we got to work on that. It's like, no,
Wow.
They're resisting the system because the system doesn't work. The system injures them. You have no goddamn rotation plan. You're crippling your players, and they don't want to play for you anymore. Get out of town. How can we be nicer about this?
Wow.
Please?
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Denver Nuggets.
But there's this rule, unwritten rule, which I hate unwritten rules, that, you can't fire a basketball coach in the NBA this late in the season. Well, there's two friends that I can introduce you to. You're the fucking boss. You can break whatever rules if it's in the best interest of the players. Look, you're chasing away the good players. Donovan Mitchell ain't going to come back. And it was a long shot that he would want to come back anyway. But now, after witnessing this, if you could put the assistant coach as an interim coach and then use all of this time now into hiring the next head coach so that the players would know before the playoffs who their new coach is going to be.
Yeah.
Even if you involve your players in this discussion.
Yeah, I mean, even if they're not allowed to announce it, soon, they could at least keep it amongst the teammates of who's going to be the next coach.
The ego is so great that they don't want to acknowledge that players have a big sway factor about whether they buy in, they want to play for a certain guy or they don't. And, it got David Blatt shit canned a little after the All-Star break.
It did.
And the players were comfortable playing for Tyronn Lue. And when you have star players in Cleveland, Ohio, you got to do whatever you can to keep them. And no matter how big your ego is, you have to acknowledge that those multi-$100 million players that you're dealing with have a say in this. So give them a say, because they're telling you by what they're doing and not doing on the court. They're communicating with you saying, we don't want to play for this guy.
Should change his name to JB Dickerslap.
Yeah. And that's true, Ron.
Wow.
They shot like 63% from three.
Well, that means that they're all getting open threes, then we're not defending. Doesn't it? I didn't see the game.
Well, they just were not trying.
Not trying, yeah.
They just kept it close for about a quarter and a half, and at the end of the first half, they pulled away. When they came out in the third quarter, whatever it was JB said to them, their response was, JB, fuck your wife. Just leave here. Because they didn't try. The entire second half, they just didn't even try.
I mean, if they want somebody to fuck his wife, then why don't they give Rick Manning a call? But anyway.
That's true. He can always help you. Bring Fritz Peterson and his wife along.
Fritz Peterson, the whole gang. Wow.
That's off really topic. Did you hear about the Guardians fan with cerebral palsy who attended all 162 games last season. Well, what
Maybe
else is he going to do?
Maybe he's got a short memory.
I thought that was the guy they were planning to bring in from the bullpen with the bases loaded instead of Eli Morgan.
I wouldn't say poor guy. Hey, more power to him. He's able to do that.
Yeah, God bless him.
Yeah.
I mean, although I don't see how that would make him happier, but if it does,
if it does, maybe it does. Yeah,
it's good. It's all good.
Maybe they should give him John Adams' drum if he's going to be there all 62 games. Might as well give him a drum to bang on.
God, it's
we can't do that anymore. It's the Guardians. Sorry. Yeah, can't do that.
Well, no, you could still bang a drum.
Yeah, but you can't.
The problem is that he couldn't control himself.
Yeah,
he wouldn't be able to do the rhythm. He just, you know.
If they want to, they could just hire Todd Rundgren.
Bang the drum, yeah. Very good. Very good.
And depending what his condition was, he could be in a Robert De Niro movie. Bang the drum slowly. Come on, folks.
Crickets.
Oh my.
Oh, that would be like you get Jimmy Pearsall as well.
Jimmy Pearsall story. Throw the ball in, Jimmy.
Oh yeah, that's one thing we haven't talked about. Cleveland players and mental illness. That's
Tony Horton.
That's like,
who?
Delonte West.
Delonte.
Yeah, Tony Horton.
Home is where the crate is. That was terrible. I mean, and I was told about Delonte West's problem long before it became public knowledge, and I never said
you did.
About
yeah,
that.
you did. You absolutely knew all about that.
And there are some things that, as goofy a program as this is, there are things that I mean,
there are boundaries here.
There are boundaries, and the privacy of players is in my vocabulary anyway. That privacy is important, and you don't. That's not the way to go about sensationalizing things by prying into people's personal lives and all that. And the same thing was true with Tucker, the offensive lineman, Browns. I knew about that too, and I really have a soft spot in my heart for people who suffer from mentally debilitating conditions like anxiety, and because it's not something that is their fault. It's something that is a difficult thing. And, when I was in the early 2000s suffering from panic attacks because of medication that was misprescribed to me, I got a real vision of what it was like to lose control of myself.
Wow.
And believe me, it changes the way you think about these sorts of things. And this is this is not a public forum for players' private lives. And it's the thing that aggravates me most about the Deshaun Watson thing is that it's just not relevant to what I talk about. I mean, if I were to analyze every NFL player to have a spotless personal life,
gosh,
I think there's no such. It would be very hard, very difficult to find people who would fit that profile.
You can't find NFL players with a spotless life. You can't find politicians with a spotless life. You can't find virtually anybody with a spotless life. So it is what it is. And I think you have the right approach and not really talking about it unless you're forced into it or if it's in the public domain.
But it's different when I know that the Cavaliers players have given up on the head coach and they've stopped trying. When I know that,
when it's factual.
And it's not, this is not a matter of, Tony Horton crawling back to the dugout back in the early 70s.
Or Kevin Love even,
right. With K-Love, right. I mean, this is not something to be bandied about, but, as far as players really voicing the feeling that this guy's an incompetent head coach, I think it is worth discussing because it's every guy but one. And that's my proof that I know what I'm saying. And I'm not going to get into the ramifications of who the one is and why the one is. Not going to do that. But again, I have integrity and I don't divulge. There's just some things that the eyes, you want to be a positive guy like Mac Perry is, which is great on Twitter. And he doesn't mean anything bad by being positive because the world's full of negative fans.
Oh, God, yeah.
But the fact is that if he knew, and it's slowly dawning on him because it's like, I can't believe this. It's like, you got to believe. I wrote to him. I said, Mac, believe it. They don't want to play for this guy. Please. Just take it on faith. If you have that much faith that the team can do better, how about a little faith in what somebody's telling you? That's true. Yeah, and the reason we keep flip-flopping third to fourth is because the Knicks win and they don't win.
Yeah,
Nobody's doing really particularly well.
The season, it gets back to
a couple games.
It gets back to my riff of these seasons being way too fucking long. I think that it gets back to that. And
get ready for the NFL to probably add another week.
Yeah, fuck that. I mean, have the NFL do the Super Bowl in March. Yeah, that's a great idea. But anyway,
well, I mean, that's kind of the issue is we're in a dead time of this right now where fans will make shit up, and I'm just doing a show twice a week. I used to do it 5 days a week, and then during football season 7 days a week, or 6 days a week.
Yeah.
And on the 7th day I rested.
You did.
Yeah.
So then this question:
did Donovan Mitchell return too soon for the Cavs? And I was like,
no.
Let me explain this to everybody. All right.
In layman's terms.
In layman's terms, his knee will not get better.
No.
Okay. I'm just telling you.
Probably not ever.
what we know, not what I think. By playing him, it ain't going to get worse. It ain't going to get better unless they shut him down completely, and they can't shut him down completely. So this is what we're going to get, the masked marauder version of Donovan Mitchell, who can't shoot and can't penetrate and can't go strong to the basket because his knee is worn. And that's what that is.
If you can't shoot and you can't penetrate, you're not going to score.
But you want to know what's funny about it all? And this is all part of the credo of, the midget owner in Cleveland, who's got all the money in the world to spend, but doesn't have the balls to stand up and fire the head coach. Here's the deal. Okay. You can play your star player with a clear, debilitating problem that stops him from beating anyone off the dribble, from getting a lift on his jump shot, and to be able to penetrate into the lane. All right?
Wow.
You're willing to make the decision to play him, but you're not going to make the decision to get rid of a head coach that all but one of the players on the roster don't want to play for.
Wow.
And I can tell you this. The guy who is saying this can't happen, Donovan Mitchell, is one of the most vocal people about this, and so is Karis LeVert. So if you are sure that I'm making this up, now, organization, tell me I'm wrong.
Out of curiosity,
just write to me privately and tell me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Out of curiosity, who's the one player that does want to play for him?
I don't want to get into it.
He's not going to say that. He's not going to say that, David.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's too bad, because if you can pull the plug on playing your best player injured, you can pull the plug and get rid of the head coach. You can do it.
Basically, Donovan Mitchell with the dodgy knee, he's just been turned into Cedi Osman, basically. You know, he can't shoot, can't penetrate, can't play
But he
defense.
passes better and
He passes better. Yeah, that's about it, though. You know, you just knew. I mean, is Donovan Mitchell worth even having on the floor if he's at 60%?
right.
Don't
It doesn't
you know?
matter if he's on the floor or not because the players aren't going to try.
Well, okay. Well,
Darius Garland's
no.
head is so fucked up right now, man. He doesn't know up from down. I mean, you can see this with your eyes. You don't need me to tell you this. The guy is literally afraid to go into the lane. He's indecisive. He leaves his feet with no one to throw the ball to, and he's now deciding he's not going to shoot anymore. He takes 5 shots in like 37 minutes or however 36 minutes
Wow.
that he played. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's been run into the ground. And with all this, Joel Embiid is coming back for the 76ers, so they'll be ready for the playoffs.
Well, we could barely beat them when he wasn't playing.
And now we have a player for the New York Knicks who's feeding the press information saying, you know, I'm looking at our team right now like this is who we got. Meaning that Anunoby and Randall and Mitchell Robinson are not coming back. Well, he didn't say that exactly, but that's what he led the press to believe.
New York sports. Gotta love it.
Yep. I'm looking at this like this is the team that we're going to have. I think that's how we have to approach this, that those guys aren't coming back. And obviously we'll be pleasantly surprised if they come back. This is the Willis Reed thing all over again.
Yeah.
Don't fall for this shit. Don't fall for this. You know what this is? This is Terry Bradshaw being carried off the field and then 10 minutes later running back out on the field waving a towel, you know, to get the crowd into the game.
And Big Ben did that too.
Yep.
They both did it.
Don't believe this shit. When all is said and done, they'll be there. And they're going to make it like into the great. Oh my God, we have a change school. Oh, and look, they're back. Anunoby, Randall, and Mitchell Robinson back. Yeah. That's what we're going to get. It's all bullshit.
Wow.
But, you know, Shea Gilgis, Gilligan.
Gilligan.
Hey, little buddy.
Gilligan, you idiot.
Yeah. Busted their bubble, man. The Knicks. 2 in a row they've lost at the buzzer, man. Basically.
Wow.
Yeah. That's why we're still sitting in third as tentatively as possible.
That's amazing.
It really is. And my final thing that I have to say today.
What do you have to say? Mark?
And that's right, Double P. Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. But I wasn't even going to mention
Look
that.
at Superman. It's like, yeah, it's really panned out for him, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Superman, except in games in the postseason where they count.
I was actually watching over that game last week. It's crazy. The Ravens wanted to be the bullies, but the Chiefs are like, fuck you. We're not taking your shit.
Yeah. It's like nobody cares about the psychology of this. I mean, if you have strong players, they come in and play hard and they don't pay attention to that shit. If they're weak-minded or playing for a head coach they can't stand, then that's another thing. The final story is Brock Purdy, the 49ers quarterback. You know, here's a guy. Oh, no. I mean, he is going to have to wait before he can, you know, get his big pay raise, right?
Right.
Assuming that he's any good next year. And I'm not sure every team that played a certain type of defense against him stopped him. I'm not sure that he's everything that is advertised, but he is a white quarterback after all, and he is going to get
very white. You can't get much more whiter than Brock Purdy, really.
Pretty Purdy. Yep. So here's the funny thing about it. He's not going to get his money until the following season. However, he's going to get an additional paycheck of $739,795, which is basically the return that H&R Block gave him, which comes out 75.1 of the $985,000 base salary that he made last season. Right. So it's all because the NFL compensated players an additional almost $400 million in performance-based pay.
$400 million.
Yeah, that's what gambling money does.
He wasn't the only player. I don't think there was one other player. Forget who it was though.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I mean, if this guy gets $739,000, and it's nothing compared, if he has a good season next year, nothing compared to what he's going to earn.
Oh well, there's idiots earning $40 million out there.
If the NFL added almost $400 million in performance-based pay for the 2023 season, can you imagine how much they're getting from that gambling money?
Yeah.
They don't do anything out of the goodness of their hearts.
No, they don't.
It's all about, you know what this world has come down to? Donald Trump selling Bibles.
It's corruption 100%. I mean, when you look at the Cavs Facebook page, it's sponsored by Betway. That tells you everything you need to know.
and Joe Biden insisting on remaining being president of the United States so his family can continue to collect, and all of this bullshit.
He's 800 years old.
All about the fucking money. You know, your just nose can follow the money and know where this is going. But I thought it was funny that, you know, $739,000 for Brock Purdy, if he's really a good quarterback, is a drop in the bucket. Because the next hit he takes could be the last one. He's not a big guy.
No.
Next hit he takes, he could give him the brain damage that's going to make him commit suicide like Vontae Davis may have. You know? And I still have no confirmation that Vontae Davis killed himself.
Wow.
So they just don't know.
When did that happen?
I could have added something onto that, but I don't know if I should say it.
Oh, go ahead. This is a free forum.
Vontae Davis may not have killed himself, but Jeffrey Epstein certainly didn't.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, what all they're saying, no foul play was involved. He died at his grandmother's house.
Well, there you go. Nothing's more wholesome than dying at your grandma's house, is it?
Told him not to eat her cookies, man. They're terrible.
You know, the worst thing you could possibly do, guys, is be surrounded by family, because everybody who dies seems to be surrounded by family. So tell them all to fuck off and you won't die.
But, I mean, if he offed himself in grandma's house.
Yeah, she's got to clean it up. And,
man. I mean,
a mess.
Vontae, I'm home. Oh! I mean, then she drops dead, you know? Yeah. Really thoughtless way of going, but we don't know.
I think when they do have CTE, like I've heard, like Dave Durson from the Bears, I think shot himself in the chest so he can get his brain looked at.
Yeah, wow. I mean, there have been too many cases of people who, you know, committed suicide. It's a serious thing.
Oh, that 85 Bears team, God, half of them are either dead or mental.
Yeah,
it's just tragic.
You know what's really the sad part of it?
What?
Have you seen Jim McMahon?
Oh, well, we've talked about him before. I mean, not recently.
Yeah, watch him walking. He is doing the Super Bowl shuffle.
God, wow.
Yeah, it's too bad.
That's
the whole thing.
Michael's practically halfway there. He's got freaking ALS, bedridden, and he's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Amsterdam, how you doing? Yeah. Michael Stanley's daughter did commit suicide, but it was a lady's choice. I really don't know. You just have to look this stuff up, folks.
Wow.
I can't help you here. Thanks, everybody, for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. David, thank you.
No problem.
And Moose, thank you.
You haven't do a Bullwinkle. You haven't done a Bullwinkle voice for a while.
Hey. Wait a minute. Hey, am I dead?
You might be dead. I don't know.
Nobody's heard from me for years. Yeah,
don't know my own strength.
It's like Is Bullwinkle the moose dead?
I don't know.
It's a fair question. It's a fair
I don't
question.
know.
What about Snagglepuss? Exit stage.
Snagglepuss.
Exit stage left. Isn't that what it was?
Yeah,
Yes.
exit stage right, stage left.
Yeah.
And Pixie and Dixie.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Mark.
I have to hear about this from Rox, all the cartoons that she watched when she was a child. Now I'm hearing this. God, if I hear one more thing about Tom
Augie
and Jerry,
Doggy.
it's like Augie Doggy. Yeah. It's like, Tom and Jerry sucked when they became friends. Yeah, I liked it better when they were trying to kill one another,
Correct. Yeah.
That would have been like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote.
Yeah, having dinner together, it's just wouldn't be funny, would it?
No.
I remember they released that movie in the
So
90s.
what's happening? Meep, meep. Me too.
I remember they released that Tom and Jerry movie in the 90s where the two of them were actually talking.
Wow. That's
really too bad. That's
yeah.
Well, I got to get going. My Instagram disconnects after 60 minutes. And if you're watching on YouTube, you got this bonus nonsense about Bullwinkle the Moose. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll be back again on Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.